Assassins, I'm going to kind of bring you up to date on some of the things that have been happening in the world of fighting fantasy. I'm delighted to say there's been a resurgence in the genre. You saw Charlie Brooker acknowledging fighting fantasy is one of the reasons to inspire him to create Bandersnatch, and how Stranger Things has given rise to a resurgence in Dungeons and Dragons, and it's great to see interactive entertainment becoming more part and parcel of life, and people seeing it as a great thing, not just a kind of a weird thing for people to do, which is good. So a little bit of updates on some of the things that are happening in the fighting fantasy world. So according to the news from the Black Lobster Tavern. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a graphic novel coming out, being published by a fantastic Hungarian company who I met when I gave a talk about fighting fantasy in Budapest a few months back, and they'll be telling you all about this incredible. They've got amazing artists in Hungary, and I'm delighted to see that happening. France continues to amaze us as a market, in that Gallimard fighting fantasy has never ever been out of print in France ever, and now they're using some of their own artists for the covers as well. They're going to be using Rob's interior art, which is great, of course. Port of Peril, just had to show that kind of cover from Brazil. So it's beginning to happen again internationally, which is great to see. And on a completely blatantly commercial promotion slide, if you haven't signed up to the history of Games Workshop, the first 10 years, you can still sign up via Unbound. And talking of self-promotion, we've got a board games book coming out in a couple of weeks, working with James Wallace. This is a history, 8,000-year history of board games. I am a board games absolute fanatic. I have over 1,000 at home. Still play with the same group since the 80s. And DK have done their wonderful high production value production of board games in 100 moves. So it's 100 games that we think have been really influential throughout history, not necessarily the best 100 games of all time, but games that we think have made a mark on the world. You would have seen also the new miniatures, the resin miniatures have finally come out. After 4 years of talking about it, it's actually happening, which is great to see. I think you'll agree that Atlantis done a great job on the production. They had some especially collector's items here under the F3 packaging in advance of a Kickstarter that's going to happen in October, where they'll be sold in some box sets. So with the real production, these are just taken from the original silicon molds, which were done by the original sculptor, Damien Sparks. So we're looking forward to seeing those. Be a range initially of 22, and lots more coming. Here you can see some of them. They're pretty faithful to the original artwork, which is great. It really has been proving, every time these people say weird, it bursts into laughter. It's most charming. They do require assembly, they're not a toy as such. They need gluing together in parts, because they're quite complex miniatures. So, a few left. Grab them while you can. And of course, Scholastic continue to publish our books, which we're very happy about. One thing clearly we're not too happy about today is that it failed to bring any of the latest new releases to this today. A bit of a distribution cock-up with their distributors. I think it's HarperCollins who've done it. But nevertheless, there are now 15 books in the republished version, and we're very excited about that. Having started with Puffin, with Penguin, with Icon, now with Scholastic, which is great. And last but not least, there's a brand new book, although you can't buy it today, even though it's supposed to have done, other than hardback edition, Assassins of Allansia. So let's talk a little bit about Assassins. This is the intro blurb. Struggle to survive on an uninhabited island, which is home to decayers, fleshheads, and worm dogs. Things go from bad to worse when you're attacked in the middle of the night. But who attacked you, and why? The mystery deepens when you discover a small boat on the beach with an old friend shackled to the mast. There's a bounty on the head, and you must find the assassins before they find you. It's kill or be killed. Will you survive? So that's the basic premise. There's lots of assassins out there who are going to try and separate your head from your body, and I hope you managed to get through. Actually, deep down, I hope you don't. But, you suffer while you try. So this is the softback version, and an amazing cover by Rob Ball. He's sitting right here, and we're going to show a few of his artwork. He's going to talk to these slides, I hope, and then we'll open it up for questions. I think we've got approximately half an hour left, so we can make it a interactive experience. But first, Rob, you probably don't remember sending me these, but you don't. You send them via Scholastic. And these were the first ideas for the, do we call them the roundel or the porthole version? What's it called in the general? Porthole? Porthole. Rob, you can talk to us about how we got to the final pose?
Yeah, sure. So this was the first...
you need a microphone.
Yeah, my library. Is this on?
It is.
So this was the first cover that I've done with the porthole design in place. So the previous covers I've been retrofitted. So what I was trying to do with this one was a bit like the books themselves, have the main character come out of the hole at you and kind of ignore the designer's wishes to stay inside the circle. I thought, look at that. I'll try and take up as much of the cover as I can. So there's various versions of the cover, and Ian's description was that the bad guy wasn't a natural swordsman, so some of them he had his back turned to you, so it seemed like quite a cowardly character, or some of the well, it ended up actually the final cover, you can see that the sword is more ceremonial than something that might be practical. So I got the feeling that this guy, although you couldn't mess with him, had probably been corrupted by the trappings of riches. So although he's got the kind of ninja-style costume on, there's lots of gold on there, and it's encrusted with jewels and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to give you a sort of glimpse of the guy's character. And of course,
I think what I wanted from the cover is that I would like to threaten the reader to feel that they're about to lose their head in various ways. So I wanted the pose really to be more like a swinging a baseball bat. So this was, it's coming right at you. So yeah, and we ended up with a pretty good cover, I would say. Lord Azor coming your way soon. So here's some of the internal art.
Yeah, so Ian made the mistake.
That's not a picture of me in the middle though.
We'll go into this a bit later, but Ian made the mistake in the description of the book was saying that one of them is picking their nose furiously. So I just went to town with it, and I wanted to do the gloopiest, droopiest bogey I've ever seen. So they were real fun with that one. And if there's any illustrators out there, a lot of the things you sort of pose for yourself, so I had a lot of fun posing for that one. And with these things, there's lots of things. So this guy who's boatman, he's got these killer dogs, and it's the same thing as Ian was talking about, making the character of the boatman, tiny, but making the dog absolutely massive. So the dog, it looks like the dog's going to rip your head off if you say the wrong word. So it's always that choice of peril: do I fight or do I flee? And I would suggest in this situation, you would probably flee.
Some more?
Yes, there are lots of fun with the characters. The sort of premise of the book is that you come across a lot of these strangers, and it's up to you to decide whether there's clues in the text, or depending on what you want to do, to decide whether these are assassins or perfectly harmless strangers. So the guy asleep, a guy asleep on the riverbank. No spoilers. He could be a friend or he could be a foe. This guy here, maybe my favourite character in the book, is Tall Tom. Tall Tom is the landlord of this pub, and in his description was he was very, very tall, obviously big ears and big nose. And he looks at you with a surly expression. I wanted to do something that wasn't like the traditional idea of a sort of fantasy barman. It'd be someone like Parliament Pottiver out of Lord of the Rings, sort of that jovial character. And I wondered why is this guy surly? Why is he, if he's the landlord, why is he such a poor landlord? So I had this idea that maybe he's an assassin, and before you got in, he's off the barman and got into his clothes which are fitting. He's got this tightly fitting...
You gave my secrets away.
tightly fitting waistcoat on. He's got this hair that's tried to tie back, but it's all falling, and he's trying to look like a barman, but he just can't hide it. Now, whether it's friend or foe, you'll find out. I'm not giving away any spoilers. The middle one, no spoilers, that is not a friend.
Yeah. So you get killed by creatures and assassins, so it's double trouble. And of course, has become the norm since Port of Peril. We're now doing a hardback. So to keep that in the same style, we commissioned Karl Kopinski to do the cover for the hardback. So it's in keeping with the hardback of Port of Peril. This is a limited edition which won't be in retail. There'll only be 400, 10 to 400 editions of this published, and hopefully become a collector's item in the future. So here's some of how I worked with Karl Kopinski for the cover. Some of his original. I identified the 3 characters I want on the cover, and then we kind of just worked back into various poses. So this was a kind of obviously not a dramatic pose, but it kind of sets the initial scene in motion, and then we started to add some motion to that, to those characters, and a little bit of personality. So this is Lord Azur here, and I won't spoil for you just yet. We will meet in due course, and then to try and get the composition of them coming at you, and then started to add colour in the sketch form. So really enjoyed working with Karl on this. If you've seen any of Karl Kopinski's work, have a look online. He's a pretty well-known artist now. Very much in the similar style as Simon Cave. Some of the detail you see is pretty good. So we finally get to the finished cover and the finished book. And that's become a tradition. We've got a new map on the back of the hardback, and this one was actually done by the Brazilian publishers, who said, sure, I can use this one. So there we are. So we're now going to move on to the questions. I'll happily answer as many questions about the book as possible, and I'm sure Rob will talk about the artwork, but without any spoilers. I don't want to kind of spoil the whole experience of Assassins of Allansia. If you want to ask questions about the future of Fighting Fantasy as well, by all means, later on after this talk, we're also doing a fuller talk around Firetop Mountain with Steve and Russ Nicholson as well, so that's going to be interesting as well. So I think I'll even sit down at this point. So, dear audience, should we get a roving mic? Maybe who's going to run around with a roving mic? And then you guys pass it around. Is this thing on? It's on.
Got to point to someone.
Yeah, gentleman here, check his shirt, just to get you hopping over the crowd.
Hi. Obviously we've had your two books and Charlie Higson's. Have you got a schedule coming up? How many more are we going to expect?
Well, Steve is still in the midst of writing his book. We might be able to tell you a little bit more about that later on. Whereas there's also going to be another guest author, someone you might have heard of, but has not been announced yet. And I will inevitably write one more. Every time I finish, say, that's it. And about a week later, I really have got an idea.
Awesome.
And of course, as we all know, it's the 40th anniversary of Warlock in 2022. So if we get that far, hopefully we'll get a book to accompany it. It's, some sort of fire top mountain thing, although I don't know what it is yet. Yeah, we've got some at the front here. Maybe you first and then you. Yeah.
Hi. It's more of a sort of technical question. So what's the writing process of putting one of these books together? So do you
Oh, it's really easy. I do it in about a day.
do you have like a massive diagram on the wall with everything linking together, or is it?
Well, this is actually a nightmare process. I mean, I don't want to take the whole of the session talking about that now, but I start off with 400 numbers, 1 to 400, on a sheet, and I start off with a blank piece of paper, which becomes a map, a flowchart. So start off with number 1, circle it, branch it out if it's 2 choices, cross off 2 numbers off this, obviously 117 and 326, put it on there, circle it, and just write an annotation what happens at those. Obviously it splits off and becomes long and weird. You have to make sure you bring people back, because there are certain critical points which are called pinch points, where you want people to have definite information. Otherwise, unless you find that definite information, you will fail. So then it goes off print again, because you want people to fail, and then you have to go back to put items in an early position which you'll need later on. So, for example, you might need a key for a door. You just introduce the door, then you have to go back and find somewhere to put that key so that someone can find it. If they went this way, they won't find it. If they go that way, they will find it. And then you have to make sure there's no continuous loops. Then when you finally finish, hopefully with an overarching story, which is great, then you have to go back and make sure it is balanced in terms of difficulty. So it's not too hard, not too easy. And then you have to balance it in terms of economy. So there's not too few gold pieces and not too many gold pieces, so it's too simple. And then you have to play test to make sure that if you manage to choose the optimum route, it's not too brutal. And then knowing that everyone cheats, try and put a few anti-cheat devices in there. So come up with a few over the time. So for example, you can say, have you got a key? You say, of course I've got a key. And if which so, turn to the number that's stamped on it. Not so easy. So there's always 1 or 2 anti-cheat devices later on, because we want people to be really disappointed before we have to start again. That is in a nutshell what it's like, and it is an absolute nightmare process, even with a piece of flowchart paper around the size of this table.
How long does that take, all in all?
It used to take us about 2 months. In the early days, we were running Games Workshop during the day, from 1975. We started Games Workshop in 1991, but from 1981 onwards, we were running Games Workshop during the day and going to our respective homes and writing Final Fantasy until 2 o'clock in the morning. But when we were young then, we could handle it, so it would take about 2-3 months to write a book. It takes about over a year now. But we're doing other things as well. I'm very much involved in various video games companies and government stuff that can do with science. But it's a really enjoyable and frustrating experience to roll into one. But I don't think I'll ever stop. But what I don't do is, people say, do you use Twine, do you use software packages? No, still old school, handwritten flowchart.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'd just like to say that I had the pleasure of meeting you last night at your bureau, and you just sort of rocked in, and that was, yeah. I'd also like to thank you again, because the first ever fighting fantasy book I read was City of Thieves, and it literally changed the whole way I look at reading and the whole way I look at books. And that book is probably now why I'm such a bookworm to this day. It really got me into reading. I just like to know.
Your man.
I'd just like to know how you came up with the concept for the plot for Assassins of Allansia.
Don't know. Well, I just thought, what haven't I done before? And everyone likes talking about assassins in medieval worlds, so I thought, rather than just have one, let's have quite a few. So I created this plot where, for a rather cruel reason, you become target number one and appear on you see yourself on wanted posters and you don't know why, and there are several people who want to see you lose your head, and so you have to find them before they find you. So it's quite a simple premise, but it's quite enjoyable. It makes you apprehensive every time you meet any new character. Is this the assassin or the non-assassin? And some people will help you, and some people will kill you. Your choice. So try and keep a very simple idea, but try and make it compelling with the difficulty of choice to create that sort of jeopardy of making that decision rather than just being left or right. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. Maybe you will. Anyway, any other questions for the mighty Rob Wall? Might I say I'm so pleased that we now got Rob doing the internals. It's been a struggle to get this far. With Penguin, we managed to win the argument for this. We chose the artists for those editions. We used Games Workshop artists, amazing artists like Russ Nookus, who's here today, and Ian McCaig and John Blanche. But Scholastic wanted to appeal to a much younger audience, starting at 8 up, and they insisted that they use their artists using effectively a kind of a digital process, Photoshop, and a more anime graphic style that they thought would appeal to a video games age. Jury's out, we'll see. But Rob, at least, has done an amazing job bringing character and personality back to the books, which is fantastic. Yeah, gentleman, hand in the air over there, and then we'll go forward to you, sir.
Question for Rob. I know you use Illustrator a lot in your kind of graphic design work. So for the interior illustrations, were you painting digitally, not using Illustrator, or were you using Photoshop or another program?
Thanks, Alistair. It's my band. This is, it was a mix of, I started with Clip Studio and then ended up doing Photoshop. And the weird thing about doing digital art is what it's really good at doing things quickly, and you don't need a lot of space to do it, etc. But a lot of the time you end up trying to emulate hand-drawn things, so texture, pencil lines, and that kind of thing, and particularly with fighting fantasy books, because I grew up with them. I grew up with Ian McCaig and Russ Nicholson and the whole roster of artists. I think I have a feel for it. And actually, I'm trying to, because I didn't know about all the stuff about Scholastic, and trying to appeal to a young demographic. I just had to, and you have to just go with what you feel is right, and you're guided by that experience of the books and trying to get the character from the writing. And I'm going talking about Photoshop. I always thought it was my job that when Ian saw the drawings and saw his characters illustrated, that he got a surprise and hopefully a pleasant surprise, because sometimes the surprise...
The only thing I would say is the difference between working with you and working with the Penguin artists is that I work directly with the artists.
Yeah.
But Scholastic require us to work through them.
Yeah.
So, to my mind, that's an unnecessary process.
Yeah.
Where we could have a much better direct dialogue working together.
And I would prefer that because that's a level of abstraction that's not needed.
Yeah. So we need someone to pass on somebody else's wishes.
Or having come to the Last Fighting Fantasy Fest, like that's Fest 2, and heard him talk, that was massively instructive just to hear Ian's sense of humour, his own attitude to his own work, and that gave me the confidence to try and be not half-heartedly, but try and get a kind of almost satirical edge to some of the illustrations. And to answer your question, Photoshop.
Yeah, that's right.
I think you've already touched on it a bit there, Robert, but I was going to ask how much inspiration have you drawn from the previous artists that have come before you with regards to Final Fantasy, and how much own spin have you put in there from Ian's writing?
Yeah, well, I'll go into this a bit. I'm going to talk a bit too, I'll go into it a bit more. But, my initial reaction to getting the job was I was very, 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 very terrified. Because these guys have household names to me: Chris Gillios, Ian McKay, Nicholson, Roddy Matthews. I could list. I'm a Games Workshop kid, so in terms of having to look at these artists, so you need to do any research because it's something that you don't grow up with it. Actually, when I started, I thought that what I would do is hope a bit closer, particularly the books where I was doing the illustrations that already existed. I thought that I would probably do versions of the things that were already done, and as I got into the process and got a bit more confident with it, actually I found I started ignoring it, which was actually better, because I didn't want to rip anybody off or do my kind of version of the thing that's already done. And the way I had to have a sort of mental thought process behind it, my thought process was that these are just versions, and they all exist. And if you want to go back to previous artists, they are still there. And the way to keep these things going with these cultural artifacts is to redo them and have fresh versions. I think it's really important, because if you take any kind of iconic, let's say, for example, Alice in Wonderland, because that deals with the fantasy world. People like John Tenniel illustrations, they like Arthur Rackham illustrations, they like the Disney version, they might like the Tim Burton version of Ron, but you might like it. And it's really important that these things get reinvented for new audiences, and once I've put that away and told myself that I wasn't in competition with previous artists, that kind of gave me the confidence to go ahead with it. Might not be true, but that's what I told myself.
Thank you.
How long does it take you to illustrate an entire book then? So, for example, the new one that...
2 months.
2 months?
Yeah. Which I've learned through sailing blithely past deadlines on all 3 books. I've realised I've had too long. I've had not enough time, I've had too long, and I've had just in the middle. So the Goldilocks version is 2 months, which is 20 illustrations, so 2 or 3 illustrations a week. Which might not sound a lot, but it's quite a quick turnaround. But I would rather have a tight deadline than a long deadline, and what I found with the long deadline was that I left it so long that I ended up with a short deadline. So there's a sweet spot, and I found that 2 months really suits me.
Any more at the front here?
Yeah, another question about illustration. So you partly touched on this, but I just want to almost lead to confusion. So the Scholastic edition is very cel-shaded, so block colour or block grey and white, so you say. But the old style, which used pen and ink, line drawings, yours looks somewhere 50% in the middle. Is that an intentional decision?
Would you lose respect for me if I said no? Somewhere in the middle, because I think I wanted shades of grey. One of the things I had in my mind was that I didn't want the illustrations to look like illustrations in a storybook. I wanted them to have a degree of three-dimensionality, so there's a bit of believability whilst at the same time being fantastical. And I thought having shades of grey art need to give the illustration more depth. I think what you lose, it's a choice because what you lose in that, the calendar of the Snow Witch, for example, those illustrations hold up really well on the page because they've got really thick graphic lines, so what you lose in something that holds up in print, you gain in, I hope, something that has a degree of dynamism and depth to the image. So that probably explains why I'm somewhere in the middle, and also, to reiterate, I grew up with it, and I'm a massive fanboy of the original artist, so I like, I'm really chuffed that you said that bit somewhere.
Looking for hands to be raised, there's one.
Hello. Do you think young people now, today, are different to young people in the 80s? And how does that reflect in your work? How do you approach that appeal? I'm thinking particularly about things like violence and gore and death.
When you were saying they're being desensitized by TV and games, they don't mind it. Is that what you mean, or?
No.
Are they different in the way they consume? They're different in the way they consume content. They would say they've got more shorter attention spans, which should play into Final Fantasy. I think ironically what I've found is that today's kids have got zero attention span, and that even Final Fantasy is some way complex because it requires record keeping, dice rolls. You like the cheating bit, I'm sure, but if you want to be, let's do a quick bit of hands up who cheated. It's okay. Okay, we're going the other way around. Who didn't cheat? These weird people. Why not? You got anything else in your life? Well, we need a new t-shirt. They're non-cheaters. They are. So you get the gist, and most people want to get through the experience. I mean, it's like picking on a thought. I think it's fine. In the end, the monsters' numbers kind of replicate in your head how tough they are, and they still serve a purpose, even if you don't actually roll the dice. So I've been thinking about even streamlining down the combat system of what is already a streamlined down version of role-playing games of the 80s. I mean, you couldn't get much simpler than just 3 attributes: skill, stamina, and luck, and some record keeping. But I think for today's generation, that's almost too much. They want all the record keeping to be under the hood, and I think that's because of playing video games where all the calculations you don't need to do yourself. You just want continuous play. But I don't want these to fall into a choose your adventure where it doesn't really matter, it's just ending's different. So I still want a branching narrative, but with a game system attached. But trying to get that game system right for today's generation, I think it needs some modification. The children today love Final Fantasy as much as anybody, but it's the detail is the challenge for them.
Thank you.
Once the hands come up now, 18 what I said. Right. Gentleman here at the front, and then we'll go here, and then at the back. We turn to run up the stairs. We've got about 10 minutes before our next show.
Question for both of you, if you don't mind. If you had to pick 1 or 2 of your favourite illustrations in Fighting Fantasy World, what would they be? And which is your favourite book that you didn't write?
That one is really easy for me because
I didn't write any of them. I didn't write any of them, so...
Well, you can do a favourite illustration.
I like Ian McKay. For some reason, Ian McKay illustrations to me have a blend of what I was trying to say before fantasy, but there's something real and tangible about them. Death Trap Dungeon, I know that is one of the most popular books, but I remember being actually scared, and I think there's something about vegetable trapped in that series, that network with someone from Livingstone and the illustrations in there. Having said that, my favourite was baseball, and that's from City of Thieves. So all the kind of stuff, but baseball particularly.
So for me, it's the iconic covers from the UK. I've always done it for me. But choosing which one is the hard bit. I mean, the Blood Beast on Death Trap's super iconic, but if I had to choose one, I actually own all the paintings at home. But if the house...
Shape changer?
It has to be shape changing, yeah. There's so much going on in that. The threat, you can see these spines bursting out, what's going on. There's so much, say, jeopardy, drama, something horrible is about to happen to you, and I need to know what that is. So that kind of wraps up the essence of what Fighting Fantasy is all about. Now, I'm now going to make an admission about a famous book I didn't write. I've never ever read another Fighting Fantasy book not written by me.
And your favourite one you did?
Because I didn't want to be influenced or accused of copying or anything. If there's any similarity, that is really coincidental. I've never read it. I've glanced through some of Steve's, but I've never played through it all the way through. So if I had to pick one, of course, I'd probably say Citadel of Chaos, just because it's, or perhaps the Sorcerer's series of Steve's.
And the favourite one you did write?
Pardon?
And the favourite one you did write?
Did write?
Yeah.
I mean, that's again a bit like choosing, what's my favourite child, and I got 4.
You had one favourite child, surely.
Which one do you love, Dad? Well, today, so again, it comes to, I'll do 4. I'll cop out. So, Forest of the Doom, Death Trap Dungeon, City of Thieves, and Assassins of Allansia. Only £40. The fourth one is probably Warlock, because emotionally it was the first one. So Warlock, Warlock, Forest of Doom, Death Trap Dungeon, City of Thieves. Yeah. And then we had one on the back row. I think we've got time for just these two last before we do the switch around.
Hi. So just going back to that point where you were saying about sort of effectively dumbing things down. I mean, on like you say, a very strict down system as it is.
I wouldn't call it dumbing down. I'm trying to make it more accessible for a wider audience.
Yeah. Is that what you tried, for example, like when you did the Blood of the Zombies?
Yeah.
And you tried a different sort of a different way.
Do you think that worked or not?
Yeah, I think that worked. I think that worked in that way because it was set sort of as a modern setting in a medieval castle, and I think that system quite worked that way. And because you were and you're using weapons that did vast amounts of damage. Yeah, I think it did for that. Though I don't know, I'd be like. Well, what I'd say to you
it's
is...
impossible to change because everyone is so linked with this for those so
Well,
long.
what I'd say to you is right, okay, if you want to streamline it further, do 2 versions. Do the original and then do the dumbed down version.
Okay, then.
So, do the what's it, the normal version, do the director's cut. Thank you.
Moving to the back row swiftly. He's run down to the front.
Hi. Obviously, the new book is primarily for sort of reading. The question I'm trying to ask is, I downloaded the Inkle Games Sorcery for Steve Jackson.
Yeah.
I guess, do you have like a strategy for turning the new books at the same time as sort of digital app or an online game?
Well, there's a few things happening behind the scenes right now to convert some of our books into various new media. There's an interactive film proposal in for one of the titles. There is an interactive, what we call Jack and Rory style, which is being done by Branch United Games right here at the show, a version of Death Trap Dungeon. which is going to be read by Eddie Marsden, the very famous actor. What else? There is a Switch version of Warlock, I think you probably know about that. There's still the Axe from Tin Man. And there's a couple of companies talking about a large production of it. I would personally like a large MMO based on the world of fighting fantasy. That'd be for me a dream. But obviously that requires an investment north of 20 million to make a competitive MMO these days to go across platforms. So that's a major decision that would have to be made by a publisher. But the discussions are happening. Nothing signed yet, but we live on in hope. It would be great to have the whole of Allansia in an exploratory 3D world. You could walk around the Witcher world or something like that. It'd be great. We've got 3 minutes. If anyone's got the final, want to try and embarrass me, Nicole? I don't care at all. Aaron, you will try and embarrass me, so we'll ask this guy first.
No, don't worry, I'll try and embarrass you. I was just going to ask you about the new book, The Assassins of Allansia. Are we going to get to see new locations in Allansia? It sounds quite a broad sweep. So is there going to be any new
locations? You start off
locations?
an island, and then little sea voyage, you have to choose where to go, give anything away, and you end up somewhere else.
Spoilers.
I don't want to spoil, do I? But there's lots of people who don't want you to succeed and they're waiting for it. Yeah, I'm pleased with it, of course, but I'll wait for all the reviews in due course. Hopefully they're good. Okay then, finishing off with our representative from Taiwan.
Hi, just wondering, Ian, how is the currently pre-production live-action series coming along? I saw in You Are the Hero number 2, there's going to be a live-action series of FF coming along in the future. How's that coming along?
Again, it's another discussion point. We hope it's going to get signed, but nothing's signed yet. Lots of things in the pot, nothing concrete yet to announce. Other than the things I talked about earlier, the City of Thieves graphic novel, the resin models that you now see out there. So it's happening. And the new board game, you've seen a proposal from Martin Wallace's game. Everyone knows Martin's great designs, and there's going to be a Heroes of Allansia game coming out at some point.
If Crypt is not a favorite child, were you very grumpy when you were Crypt the Sorcerer and created the monstrosity that was Razak? The unbeatable monstrosity.
What was Razak modeled on me?
And that was Razak, a manifestation of grumpiness, a particularly difficult time.
People think I'm grumpy naturally because I've got actually down-turned mouth, so even when I think I'm smiling, I look grumpy. Yeah.
Right.
It helps these days. So I think, Mr. Green, I don't know if you're going to close the thing, but we're going to have a 15-minute break before the Warlock revival. So I'd like to thank Rob Ball.